Hello and welcome to another edition of Least Worst Practices, where I talk to amazing gurus in the Atlassian and Agile world about how there's not really a silver bullet, there's no real best practices, but there might just be things that we bring to lots of teams that are good to have in your toolbox. I'm thrilled to be joined with Atlassian legend and AppFire stalwart Ed Gaile. Ed, what do you do these days? Like, what should people think of you as when they see you across a crowded conference floor?
Oh my goodness. I think I have so many hats that I wear nowadays, but officially I am a principal solutions architect for AppFire. So that's a fancy way of saying that I get to play with all, 150 plus of our apps and figure out how they work in conjunction with partners or customers' use cases and how they fill the gaps and extend functionality with the native Atlassian application stack. So um, I've been in the Atlassian ecosphere for about 13 years now and been the Atlanta community leader for 10 years. So I'm excited to be here. Enjoyed getting to know you over the past year or so. So I think the last time I saw you was at Team 24. You were standing on a table doing some kind of um, Lego Agile thing or something, if I remember correctly.
I mean, it's probably a good thing that I don't remember the standing on a table bit, but the Lego thing definitely sounds like me. So let's not question that as a core memory for you. Awesome, and like with all of that wealth of experience, I can only hope that you've got some real kind of humdingers to kind of share with us. So, like, what kind of advice do you find yourself bringing to teams like consistently across all the different engagements and different hats that
Yeah.
you wear?
Yeah. So before joining AppFire, I was an admin for the Atlassian stack on data center. So I've kind of got a really good background within data center. Obviously, everything's migrating to cloud from that perspective. So seeing that move, the one thing that I see and I recommend, and I have a couple things we'll talk about, is as an admin, the best thing you could do is to keep a tidy house kind of thing. So do you have like duplicate fields? Do you have end date? Do you have end underscore date? Do you have end date period because somehow, some way, someone wanted these fields? Or do you have fields that are the same thing? So you have end date and you also have last date or whatever. They're the same thing. They mean the same thing. And so do you have all this technical debt that you're kind of playing around with from a data center or cloud perspective? So every time you install a new project, you get the default schemas. So a lot of times we don't use those because we have pre-configured or pre-designed workflow schemes or permission schemes or screen schemes that we want to have and associate those. And so we have all these extra unused components hanging out there. So from a performance perspective and just my OCD kind of thing, it's just like always having a kind of a clean house um, to do that. And on data center, I'll do a shameless plug for AppFire. If you don't mind, I can share and show you two things I want to show you.
We'd have a live demo as long as you've prayed to the demo gods
Oh my
ahead of
God.
time, so it all runs smoothly.
I've sacrificed myself to the demo gods so many times. All right, so let's go over here to data center and we will go to a data center instance that I have blown up to see. There we go. So what I'm going to do is go to our configuration manager application after I log in. So when I was an admin for data center, this was my best friend, configuration manager. So it's one of our premier apps here at AppFire that does a lot of your consolidations, migrations, basic day-to-day administrative cleanup activities. So on data center, we have the Power Admin, which is a feature of it where you can find any dependency of any specific um, configuration component. So for example, if I have a custom field and I want to find, let's see, a construction estimate, see if that one has it. If I don't have that one. Oh, let's look for story point. So I do have story points. I don't have it associated, But Power Admin will show you that, hey, if I have this custom field, it's going to be in these projects and these issues and this workflow and this dashboard on these screens. So as an admin, I know exactly where everything is. And oh, by the way, if I have a story underscore points or a story points exclamation point, I can merge those. So that lets me be able to, clean up those duplicate fields. The other thing that it allows you to do is find unused components. So say I have issue type. So if I want to find all of these that are not used by a project, which means it's not being used, I can see not used, and I can see here. And again, if I had like 10s, 20s, 30 of these, 100 of these unused ones, I could export to a CSV file and then quickly use a CLI to bulk delete those guys. And then the last thing I'll show real quick here is, from an app perspective, what it allows you to do is to see, hey, what are all my apps that I'm using on Data Center? What's the version? And also, if I find a specific app, I can click on it, and then it'll tell me, hey, this app is being used in these projects and these workflows. And in the workflow, oh, by the way, I can see that it's being used as a post function. So I can also export all this information off. So then I kind of have my checklist of, if I do a migration or a consolidation of, here's what I had on my source. Now here's what I had on my destination. So just kind of a cool thing to utilize. And then integrity check allows you to check all your database filters, agile boards, and dashboards as well. So again, high level configuration manager, your best friend as an admin. That's one of the things I recommend from that perspective. If you don't mind, real quick, I'm going to go to the Confluence side real quick, Kit. And I'm going to show you one of the things that I like to use from a Confluence perspective is I like to make sure that we have all our pages are, from a compliance perspective, are all handled correctly. And what I mean by that is that, hey, if we have to review a specific page, say for change control, so hey, I'm going to document my change control for moving code from dev to production, and I need to document when the change window is, who's it going to impact, what's the backup procedures, what's the notification procedures, all that information, and that has to be approved by, say, a CAB or a change advisory board. So what we'd like to do in that case is I love to use our Kamala document management application, which allows you to put a workflow onto a Confluence space. So just like in Jira, an issue has a workflow. Now in Confluence, you got a page that can have a workflow. And just to kind of show you what that looks like. So it's kind of like a best practice of, hey, we need to make sure that we have our compliance and our regulatory information set, and we need to make sure that people are going to approve it who need to approve it. So you can see here's an example workflow for a Confluence page, and I got a team review, a manager review, and publish. Or I can archive it, I can decline it, I can reject it, put it back into a different status that we need to. But then I can also come in for here to team review, and I can say who needs to approve this transition. And so I have specified users, or I can have a group such as my change advisory board, and I can say I need 1 or 2 people to approve this. So then we have an audit trail to say, hey, this change was approved, it was moved through, we've got the documentation that it was approved, who approved it, and then once it's approved, it was automatically published to the next site, or I should say prod Confluence space. So that, my friend, are 2 items that I wanted to just highlight from the Jira side. You have Configuration Manager on Data Center and in the cloud. And then on the Confluence side, we have Kamala Document Management that lets you tightly control your regulatory and compliance scenarios. So that is what I've got for you today. How was that?
Very good. And I think the demo god smiled upon you. I didn't notice anything breaking, so that's pretty good. So we'll sacrifice the goat later to thank them for their endorsement of things. And it reminded me of a point that I've heard us come back to in a lot of discussions, which is just around that kind of cyclical nature of keeping the house clean. In that
Yes.
everyone starts with this idea of like they'll have this like golden template, and then you've just got to embrace that these things should kind of sprawl and support the teams in their variants, but then you need to
Yep.
keep bringing it back to like tidy up, clean up things. So
It's like a
can totally
it's
relate to that as well.
it's like
And
your monthly,
I get
your monthly thing. Let's do your house cleaning, okay? Run automation to say, hey, we've got all these unused components. Cool. Let's go clean them up.
yeah. And I guess one final question before we wrap up, Ed, is like it wouldn't be a 2024 kind of podcasty webinar thing without us talking about Gen AI. So like, do you think Gen AI is going to help or hinder or like be part of this kind of area of advice in future?
So I do. I'm kind of very keen on, especially the Rovo agents that you can develop and that Atlassian has made generally available now. So I think these Rovo agents are going to be way more helpful than some of the other AI specific features and functionality. Like for instance, in Jira, the only AI feature I use would be the native text to JQL kind of thing. That's the only thing I would use. I mean, at Confluence, you can do some of the AI generated text or content, but I really think when we have the Rovo agents that can combine, the open AI plus internal LLMs or RAG databases that are proprietary to an organization that you can combine with the AI information coming back to make it very bespoke to your organization and your users. That's where I think it's going to have a lot of power from an AI
Mm.
perspective.
Yeah, I'm having a discussion with a client at the moment, and they've been embarking on a cleanup of their Confluence knowledge management. They haven't brought in AI and Rovo yet, and we were having a discussion about how well AI and Rovo will benefit in meaning that your users can find that knowledge like anywhere, but it doesn't invalidate that effort to keep things clean from a configuration and a knowledge
True.
perspective. And in some
True.
ways, it
Yep.
means it's more important because you don't want the old stuff hanging around putting misinformation into those agents and those systems, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's like that wasn't a hallucination. That was just a wrong piece of content that we had, kind of thing. So yeah,
oh,
or
that's a blog I wrote two
outdated.
years ago, which contains bad advice. Yeah,
Absolutely,
very
man.
good. So Ed, if people want some more of the Ed Gale magic, where can they find you for wisdom?
So, you can ed.gale@appfire.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm in the Atlassian community as well. So feel free to track me down. And I am always happy to talk shop or barbecue, as you know. So,
Very good. Yeah, so people can come and find you and eat, which is a unique thing to promise in the Atlassian community from my perspective.
yes,
Okay,
Ted.
thank you so much for your time, Ed. Hope to see you physically again soon. Hopefully before Team 25, but we'll see how fate conspires towards things. Thank you for your time again.
Awesome, Kit. Thank you so much.